Hey, I want to take a second to talk about Ned rigs. You know, I've been doing a bunch of guide trips here. It's summertime. Even today, we were just throwing Ned rigs, kind of pile of fish. And I get a lot of questions about Ned rigs, how they differ from jig worms. We've gone through that. We've shown you the differences. But I just want to show you some variations of the Ned rig, and then maybe just a quick couple tips on some of the setups I'm using, that kind of stuff, and how I'm fishing it. So we know what a Ned rig is. I think a lot of you have done your research. It's a smaller, finesse-style jig worm, usually a shorter jig, shorter plastic. Look at that, just a little 3-inch morsel, and it's designed to be on the bottom of the lake, dancing up like this, for more of a finesse style summertime, actually I take that back, anytime bass presentation for largemouth and smallmouth. So this is the Ned rig we were fishing today. I'm going to show you 3 different types of jig heads that you might find in the store. There's all kinds of brands and variations of this, and then we'll talk about some plastic choices and the setup I'm using to fish this Ned rig. First and foremost, when I fish a Ned rig, I'm fishing usually bass that are on or near weeds, sometimes deep rocks. It's a bait that I can cast and let sit. You don't want to do a lot with a Ned rig. You want to cast it out there, you want to let it sit there, you want to let it do its thing, and all I'm doing is using the reel to reel the line in. The rod is just there to pull the bait back to where the fish are. So the Ned rig's going to be more of a versatile presentation. It's great for finesse applications, and I'm fishing this right now in 18 to 22 feet of water, chasing down largemouth bass, specifically on the bodies of water I'm fishing. So this one right here happens to be just your standard Ned head. This one's made by a company called Z-Man, and you can see here, if you look at this hook, it's got just a chunk of lead here, really designed to hold that Ned plastic on. And all I'm doing is taking that little Ned ringer from Mr. Twister, threading that on there, pushing it over that chunk of lead. You can see I'm shoving it on there, and that holds it right in place. And there's my Ned head Ned ringer that I've been catching a pile of fish on. Now, you have that same jig head. You can see the difference. All this has is just that little plastics keeper, that little notch there, the little lead notch. That'll hold the plastic on. Another version of the same style head, and you can fish it the same way. You can fish this Ned ringer. You can take half a Comida. You can put a Senko on there. You can put whatever you want, and it catches fish. And then you have what I would consider a longer shank jig that can also be used for a Ned. This is your Mighty head from All Terrain. And what I'm doing with this is I'm taking my favorite plastic, which in this situation happens to be a Mr. Twister Comida. Again, a lot of variations of this style of plastic. And I'm taking that same thing I'd wacky rig with, or jig worm fish, and I'm ripping that thing off to 3 inches. And I want that longer shank, and a lot of fish have been caught on this in the last few days. Now I'm fishing a Ned rig in that fashion. So a lot of different ways to fish the Ned rig, but again, I'm talking about weed lines, deep weed lines, summertime patterns is how I'm fishing this right now. I'm finding out I'm having days where the jig worm's working or this is working, and lately this, meaning the Ned rig, is working. So this is the way I'm catching my fish right now. This is how I'm targeting fish with the Ned rig. It's a whole lot of fun. If a Ned rig is not in your arsenal, you are definitely missing out. And again, you're pitching that bait to where you think there's fish. You're letting the bait fall down to the strike zone. The rod is what I'm using to pull the line back, and the reel is just picking up the slack. And remember, in bass fishing, hook sets are free. That's the Ned rig. Go out there, give it a shot, catch some more fish.